Hello, it's the Anfield Wrap. It's John Gibbons hosting this week, and I'm joined by Andy McCann, by Kieran, Molyneux, and by Josh Sexton to talk about everything that's going on for Liverpool Football Club at the moment. We're going to do people's thoughts on pre-season so far, what Liverpool are doing, how Liverpool are getting on, and what we think they still need to do, all things we'd like to see between now and the first game of the season, which isn't long, now less than 2 weeks till Liverpool travel to Norwich to start our Premier League campaign and another championship season. We're going to talk a little bit about a big live show that we're doing as well, but that we're really excited about, just announced. You haven't got long to get sorted because it's before the Burnley game, which is the first home game, but we're really pleased to pull that together. And obviously with Kieran on as well, we're going to talk to Kieran a little bit about his own musical career and then also the Big Boss plans that they've got for the weekend of Chelsea as well. But we'll start with the breaking news over the weekend. In fact, it broke quite late on Friday night, so we had some instant reaction around Trent's new contract. And yeah, it's great news, Andy. Great news for him. Great news for the club to tie down such a fantastic talent for the next 4 years of his career.
Yeah, brilliant. I was made up. I think, you've referenced it there, a little bit blindsided. I think everyone, which shows Liverpool are carrying on doing the business, kind of without anyone really knowing what's going on. And he was one of the ones that you didn't expect to come so early because he's not part of that group of 2023, like your Fabinho, Alisson, and then obviously the front three are all in the mix as well. So he's just come out. And I've kind of been thinking about it a lot since, just wondering what the logic is behind it. Is it just because he's boss and they just want to kind of reward him for being boss? And I think because he's local, I know Carragher speaks about local lads you get a chance maybe and you get initial love because you're local, but then it can work against you. And I don't know sometimes if he just goes under the radar and we don't really worry about him and we think, oh, he'll be sound, he'll sign it, he'll stay here till he retires. But no, I think it's a massive statement from them, and I think it's good for the likes of Curtis and any other youngsters coming through in the future that see it. It's not only do you get a chance under Klopp, but you get boxed off as well if you do well. Do you know what I mean? You get rewarded, because I don't know if anyone's seen any figures, but they're talking about him putting them right up into the top bracket, don't they?
Yeah, he's joined the sort of group of highest earners, kid, and well, in that group just below it, so I don't think he's quite on sort of Mo Salah levels, but of the guys who I gather around sort of 150 to 200, he's up there with them, and quite right, I'd say, because he's one of our best players, so he should be with the top earners, and like Andy says, sometimes you can take either young lads for granted or sort of local guys for granted, think, oh, they'll just sort of stay forever. But we shouldn't really, he's now one of our best players. He deserves to be paid amongst our best players, and he is now, and that's quite right.
Yeah, I mean, it is easy to assume that he's always going to be here with him being a Scouser, but I think we've already been banned this summer over a contract situation and assuming that, with Liverpool, we're doing great, everyone's going to be fine. And I think it's important to make sure players are getting paid what they earn, even despite it being astronomical amounts of money. We all know that, but competition is fierce, and if we're not going to pay big money wages, somebody else will. And we want to keep the best players who deliver the numbers like Trent delivers, then we need to be paying them right. And I'm sure he's happy because he wants to stay, but football can change pretty quickly, and the team might not always be at these heights, might not always have this sort of investment. You don't know. I mean, Trent's a young lad, so keep him in, keep him happy as long as possible, yeah.
Yeah, what kind of boost do you think it gives for the academy, Josh? I know you do a lot of work for us, on the One for the Future shows, and you're sort of Kirby a lot, and they've got these big not posters, the sort of drapes, aren't they, from hung up across Kirby around the guys who've broken through, and it makes a big deal when someone makes one appearance, for the Liverpool first team, who from the academy. But the fact that Trent's more than done that, he's broken through and become an elite player, and he played for England, won trophies, and now this, I think it's the kind of thing that people will be talking about when the Kirby, the young lads will be saying it amongst themselves. Obviously Trent's got a big new deal, but also the likes of Barry will be saying, well look, this is possible for you, and it does, stuff like this does give everyone there a bit of a boost, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about the lads who sort of, you probably wouldn't expect Kirby to be celebrating, because I think we look at it as fans and think that, everybody should be like Trent and they should be Steven Gerrard and Robbie Fowlers and stuff. And it's not really the way it works. Academies are almost, they're not necessarily, it's like they're not set up to produce those kinds of players, because, every once in a while those players do come along. But I think we're quite lucky at Liverpool in that we sort of seem to have a generational star every maybe decade or a couple in each sort of decade in that sense. And Trent's just another one of them, isn't he? And I think it's good as well for the academy to be able to say that Trent, in the way that he broke into the first team, like changing position and all that kind of thing. Like he was literally considered a midfielder in the academy, an attacking midfielder. He was someone who broke into the box late and was scoring goals and things like that. And then, he has a conversation with Alex Inglethorpe, who says that you might need to be a right back if you want to break into the first team. And, you play five-a-side of me, John. I can't imagine me at any sort of level being told to change my position because I'm so stuck out on the left wing all the time, trying to cut inside and get a goal. So it must have been strange for Trent to sort of, be sat down and almost told that not necessarily not good enough in this position, but it's going to be too hard for you to break through in this position just based on your talent alone. So goes out to this other position, does really well in it, and look, now he's one of the best right backs in the world. So I think in terms of a literal pathway from Kirby to the first team, Trent's almost the sort of poster boy for that. And I presume, as you say, that he is literally on the posters there because he's a shining example of what this academy can produce.
Absolutely. And it shows that, he's a key part of the plans moving forward as well, Andy, which is what you'd expect, to be fair. We've almost built our team around these fullbacks and what they can do. It's obviously the front three is world class and phenomenal, but they're supplied, by two full-backs, but particularly Trent and his sort of booming crosses. We saw a few of them the other night, which was sort of nice to see us getting his range back. And, this is sending a message out, isn't it, to him and to everyone else, really, that Trent's a key part of what we want to do moving forward. I've noticed he's been getting the armband a little bit more recently as well, which is showing that, I think they want a little bit more leadership from him as well.
Yeah, I think Kieran mentioned it just before about stats-wise, and that if I don't know if there is an algorithm somewhere. I'm sure if it is, FSG have kind of worked it out, and Mike Gordon is. But if you were to, the last 3 seasons, if you were to work out some algorithm that gives you the most important player based on a stats output, after Salah, you'd probably say he's got to be up there, maybe even above Salah from an assist, clean sheet, whatever it is. And I'm not saying they do that, but so based on that, he's got to get the sort of dough that they get, you know what I mean? And it's great for him. It's a line in the sand of this is what we think about him. This is how highly we relate him. It's also a little bit of, the Genie situations maybe cast not a negative kind of cloud. It's kind of surprised me how much kind of fume there's been about the Genie situation. I thought it was clear it was going to happen, and I think a lot of contributors and people I've spoken to on here kind of it was just happened, whether they disagree or whatever with it. But maybe Liverpool have seen it and just thought we could do with just getting this cloud gone and start reassuring people that we do give big contracts out when we don't necessarily need to. We are happy paying players. But no, it's good. It's great for him, and I think it definitely kind of cements his place as a key member of the squad in whatever position that be going forward.
Yeah, what do you see as his future as, Kieran, at Liverpool? There's always been talk, isn't there, about, maybe we'll go back into midfield. As Josh points out, the right-back switch was as much about getting him first-team minutes as it was necessarily this grand master plan. Now it's turned into sort of, one of the great, I'm sure be written about from years, like Ray Kennedy being moved to sort of left wing and stuff like that as things that, managers come in and do. But really, as Josh says, it was, about getting him minutes. Do you think they've been maybe having discussions with him about things they can do, things that they maybe want to do in his position, or do you think it's sort of a bit early, for all that really? At the moment, he's a brilliant right back, and why would he?
Yeah, personally, I do think it might be a little bit early, but it's not broke, don't fix it. He's doing a job at right back and producing assists and chances which are abnormal for that position. So it's given another dimension to the team. When we won the European Cup, we won the league. I think every pundit and a fan in the country said Liverpool's wing backs are the problem, and he does it so well. However, saying that, I do think he has the qualities to be further up the pitch. I do think he could end up in midfield. This is my personal belief. Whether we do it or not, I don't know. I think it might depend on when it comes to buying more midfielders. Is the right person available? Does a right back become available? And we think, we'll push Trent up there. But he's definitely got the ability up the other end of the pitch, because we see him up that end of the pitch past the halfway line so much. And he's got good feet. He can put a ball in, and it's not just sort of like nothing crosses. The dangerous balls, constantly dangerous balls. So we can obviously push him into the middle. There's going to be passes there. There's going to be through balls there. There's going to be other things that he can contribute and offer. So yeah, I do think eventually there's a chance he could end up in midfield. But I'm of the belief if it's not broke, don't fix it. Like,
yeah, it was interesting watching him at the back end of last season, Josh, because he seemed to be playing a slightly different role even from right back. I was noticing him driving through the middle a lot more. Obviously, the goal he gets late against Aston Villa is from a sort of central position, and albeit I think it's a set piece, that's sort of broken down, but he's still there to sort of curl it in. I just wonder whether the looking at things they can do with him to get him even more involved than he is now, and Mai sees a lot of the ball already, but looking at ways of just being a bit more subtle with it, really, and say, well, okay, well, you're starting from right back, and we still need to do your defender from there and get forward and get crosses, but there will be sort of opportunities to involve yourself a little bit of a game more from a central position, from that starting place, because as I say, I was seeing little bits of that towards the back end of last year.
Yeah, I think it's almost part of the natural evolution of this Liverpool side. How important the fullbacks became to Liverpool's system, and just how versatile him and Andy Robertson are in general. Anyway, I think we sort of, Andy Robertson in particular, we sort of see him as just being this left back, but he's a sort of lad who could pretty much, you could play him in sort of left of his back three. You could probably play him in midfield. You could play him on the wing, and he's got the capabilities to play in all those positions. And Trent, obviously, we know how versatile he is because he's literally switched positions. But Liverpool always place so much importance on the fullbacks. And then you saw games like, when we went to Napoli against Carlo Ancelotti's Napoli, how if you shut Liverpool's fullbacks down, you effectively shut Liverpool's system down and made it really difficult for Liverpool. So I think that's probably part of the natural evolution of this side. And that's when I think, if Liverpool do decide to do a formation switch at any point or whatever, if that starts to happen this season, I think it'll be a gradual process. That is maybe when you start to see Trent sort of gently shift into midfield. I think like there's a lot of people who are expecting one day there's going to be a team sheet that pops up and Trent's going to be in centre mid and we're all going to lose our minds about it. But I'm not sure that's necessarily the way it's going to work. I think it will be more of a sort of gradual process where the formation changes and eventually Trent ends up there because it's what's best for the team as much as what's best for him.
Yeah, we shall see. You mentioned though before, Andy, that he wasn't part of this large group of players whose contract expired in 2023. He still had sort of 3 years left. He've obviously chosen to extend that, which is great. But there is a lot of them whose contracts still end in 2023. I'm going to read them all out now, and it will take a while, but that's the point. So we've got Mo Salah, Sadio Mane, Fabinho, Virgil van Dijk, Roberto Firmino, Naby Keita, Jordan Henderson, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Xherdan Shaqiri, Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, and Shea Ojo. It's a lot there, and there's a lot of very good players there, Andy. Are you surprised maybe that the Trent's the one they have moved on, or do you think that was maybe just the easiest to sort, and there's things going on in the background for many of those others that we'll maybe hear about over the next couple of weeks?
Yeah, I think it's probably a combination of the two. I think, there's obviously people whose job this is full time, so they'll be having conversations with agents, and they might have, they will have assigned a couple of them to probably leave at the end of the contract, if not before. So I think Shaqiri was in that list. Yeah, I'd be amazed if he sees 2022 as a Liverpool player, never mind 2020. So they'll have an idea. I still think one of the bigger front two, so Mane or Salah, I still think one of them will probably move on at some point, possibly before that time. And they might have just put the feelers out and Trent's agents come back, and gone, there's less work to do here. So they just thought, well, while the others are dithering and what have you. But I believe Alisson and Fabinho are very close, aren't they? From all accounts, they're very, very close to being done. I think it's probably just been a case of, well, we're definitely going to get him to sign when we can get this over the line. And, just to avoid any kind of Gerrard from that fateful summer where everyone thought it was boxed off and they all went on holiday and Gerrard was kind of like, well, no, I want to sign it, just in case they might dish 5 big contracts out this summer, and Trent sat there thinking, well, did he not want to give me a contract? Did he not fancy me? And he gets a bit disheartened. Rather to avoid that, I think they've probably just gone, it's easy, we'll do it. And it's cost them quite a bit of money by the sound of it. If they've doubled they didn't need to do it in the next 2 years, but they've doubled his money now. So it's almost a bit of a goodwill gesture as much as a commitment to him as well.
Yeah, which shows there's things to be done. Okay, we'll move on from Trent Alexander-Arnold. I'm sure we'll be discussing him plenty of times between now and the start of the season because he's such a key player for Liverpool going forward. But we'll talk a little bit about thoughts on pre-season so far. And I've got Kieran and Andy in particular on the call here who have done some shows for us for a while. So I'd be interested to sort of get in particular their reflections on what they've seen before. So I'll start with you, Kieran. I don't know how much you've seen of pre-season, but you can't miss Konate. He's massive.
Yeah, when we were linked with him, I said to a mate of mine for a while now, we've had this image in our head of Van Dijk and somebody next to him, and Van Dijk will make that player next to him up to his level. And I believe in partnerships, and I believe that if you have a strong centre-half partnership, that you're going to be stood in good stead. So I'm made up to see somebody come in. I'm not too sure whether he's going to go straight into the side and the partnership will be straight away, but I do think that is the two for Liverpool. He's big, he's strong, he's powerful. I wish we had him in January, put it that
way. Yeah, it would have been nice to get him a little bit earlier. They weren't able to do it, Josh, but he's here now and he's hitting the ground running, certainly.
Yeah, he looks so composed, doesn't he? I think that's the thing that I've thought the most about him from when he's come in. Like he has made mistakes and he will still make mistakes in his Liverpool side because he's a young lad and he's adapting to a new system and stuff like that. But like every time he makes a mistake, the thing he does after the mistake is just unreal. And when you've watched, centre-halves like Dejan Lovren who makes one mistake and then turns into like a cartoon character after that, just stepping on loads of rakes. It's good. It's good to see, to be honest, a lad who can sort of make up from that and at a young age as well. I think his ceiling already is so exciting for me. Like I think he's got so much sort of potential to progress through in this Liverpool side. And as Kieran said there, alongside someone like Virgil van Dijk, or even just being in training with someone like Virgil van Dijk will be massive for someone like Konate as well. So yeah, hopefully he's here wearing LFC dressing gowns for years to come.
Do you like the look of him, Andy?
Yeah, he's good, and I think, as Kieran mentioned, just the fact that he's massive, and you do almost see him now as like Van Dijk's +1. You think, can he commit to it? And just on the mistake thing, it's interesting because I've said this on a show before, even through our, the 2 years of dominance with Van Dijk at the side. Van Dijk made mistakes. It wasn't like he was, but he just had a real aura about him and a coolness where he would just put his hand up and go like, "It's sound, lads, honestly, I've made that mistake, but we'll be sound." And Alisson would have pulled him out of it, or, Gomez covers. So they all make mistakes. I just don't, like I love Josh's analogy there of standing on a rake, and it would be like that watching Lovren. Lovren's game was determined within the first 15 minutes. If he didn't make any mistakes, he'd have a good day. If he makes one, you knew it would be a chain of them then through the game. And I just don't, Konate, he seems to have that confidence of, I am playing centre half against good forwards. I am going to get skinned now and again. I am going to lose headers, but it's what he does right after that. But no, I really like him. And I think, as one of the screenshots the lads from LFC TV put out through the week, if he was stood next to Van Dijk and he actually looks bigger than him, which is imposing in itself. So no, all good. Yeah, all good for him.
It was the biggest problem last season, Kieran, by a mile, wasn't it, the centre-half thing? So the fact that they look like they've got a good one in, the fact that the three of them who were injured long time and all back, obviously Matip's played more than most, but great to see Virgin Joe getting a few minutes. The manager suggested that they maybe won't be ready for Norwich and they'll take the time with them. So you might have to wait a little bit longer to see a Virgil and Konate partnership. But generally speaking, having those for us going into next season is just going to make a huge difference to how we play.
Yeah, well, I mean, when that happened in January, we looked at the available players to play centre half, and not one partnership filled you with confidence. You were always thinking, wow, what's going to happen here today? This isn't right. And with Konate coming in, I mean, I know Klopp's always the type of manager to identify his man and keep his man, and maybe that's why we've seen the Kabak signings and the Ben Davies signings. Maybe they were just, he always knew that his man was coming in the summer. So we flipped it. I mean, we were in a situation where we had no centre-halves and we were worrying, and now we've got, good players, 3 or 4 of them who can come in and start for Liverpool. So that problem should be sorted, really, and it's the other end of the pitch now for me. It's adding goals to the side, and we think we scored 15-20 goals less than City last year and finished 15 to 20 points behind them. So that for me is where we move on.
Yeah, and hopefully Liverpool will continue to do so. Who else has impressed you, Josh, so far in terms of the games you've seen? I know you've watched a lot of them. There's a few sort of fringe players who've maybe had more minutes and wants to show, but obviously, we've had a few more superstars available than we normally have at this stage of pre-season as well, which is good.
Yeah, I want to shout out the young lads, to be honest, because I think sort of every single one of them who has stepped into the first team picture in pre-season so far has either done the job that would be expected of them from the manager, which is, it's a high level of expectation that Jurgen Klopp will have for all these players. It's the reason that he's included them in these sides. But then there's been a few as well who I think have just like shone beyond that. So from the first games, Owen Beck I thought was great. Cade Gordon, obviously, Harvey Elliott, who I think we all sort of had a very high expectation for coming into this preseason. This season in general, I think if Harvey Elliott is to stick around this Liverpool side this season, then we're all going to be expecting a lot from him in the little amount of minutes he's going to get, which is mad because he's, I don't think he's even turned 18 yet, or maybe he's just about to turn 19, but he's still so young, and he's he's still slight as well, but he doesn't play like a lad who has any of those sort of disadvantages physically going for him, because he's just so comfortable on the ball. He's strong on the ball, determined on the ball. He's got sort of all the attributes which you need to have as a sort of smaller player, particularly in this Liverpool side, which is more physical as well. And Cade Gordon has stood out massively for me. I watched him a few times for the 18s last season after his move from Derby, and you could see he was a lad who had confidence. You could see he was a lad who could make things happen when he got on the ball. But I mean, he's 16 years old, and the way he's playing among senior players, and like, none of the teams who've played so far have been pushovers by any means. They've all given Liverpool a proper football match. And he's stood out in every single one of them, which is a massive testament to him, and again, a massive testament to the academy as well.
Yeah, it is a testament to both, and I'd like to reflect on that a little bit more, Josh, because the confidence that they're showing in games, isn't to be, sniffed at really, and it is worthy of praise, not just for the players themselves because how confident that they look, but how much work goes into making sure that they're able to feel like they express themselves. Because I've watched plenty of young players who have enjoyed at academy level, come to the first team and freeze a bit or play it a little bit safe or just just be a bit sort of unsure of their role really, and these lads have come in, and Cade Gordon, he's straight to the action, isn't he? He's absolutely loving it. But even someone like Leighton Clarkson, who straight away he's finding his passes, he's you're seeing his full range of his play, and they feel like they've got the confidence to not show off, but just show what they can do, and that's a big thing, isn't it? And it's as I say, it's not always the case, but also that's a lot of work from the people in the academy to give them the confidence, but also shout out to people who are in this first team who are obviously making these young lads feel comfortable. I'm hearing a lot about these quizzes and stuff where they're all mixing. You're hearing a lot about the likes of Milner, but not just Milner. He's always the one who gets the shout, doesn't he? But a lot of them, the work they're doing with the young lads, that all contributes, doesn't it, to someone like Leighton Clarkson going on the field and going, I can just ping this 40 yards.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one of the big questions that always gets asked when you're a club like Liverpool and a team like Liverpool, to be honest, who play with such a sort of clear system, is does that system translate through the sort of academy levels? And obviously to a sort of large degree it does, but for me it's almost not the most important thing. The most important thing at Liverpool at the moment, with the way the club is set up, is does the mentality run all the way through the club? And I think I questioned the move from Melwood at the time, to be honest, particularly when they were showing the new site at Kirby, because I was like, one of the big sort of advantages that it was saying for it was that it's going to put the sort of the whole club close together, and to be honest, it was fucking miles away. So I wasn't thinking it was going to be that thing. But they've like literally, when we talked about the flags before, John, they've literally built a physical pathway which walks you from where the 18s and 16s and stuff are now to where the 23s and the first team will be. And just to even put the 23s in with the first team as well has been a sort of masterstroke, I think. And I think you can sort of see it in each one of these players now, particularly lads like Leighton Clarkson. I'm pleased that you've sort of brought his name up, because I didn't mention him before, but he gets a couple of minutes here and there last season around the first team. He's around the first team for pretty much the whole season last season as well, and you can really see the impact it's having on him. And I think that's testament to the coaches, Mark Bridge-Wilkinson, Neil Critchley before he left, Barry Lutus as well. It's testament to all the people in their sort of backroom staff, but it's also, as you mentioned, a testament to Klopp and the people he's got around his setup, like Vita Matos, Alex Inglethorpe, and then a load of the first team players as well. Because I think that particularly with a lad like James Milner, we all saw James Milner come through from a 16-year-old lad drowning in a massive Leeds shirt to where he is today. And I think he's so aware of that journey he had and the people who played a part in his development, like Gary Speed and stuff like that. So it's huge for somebody like Milner to be passing on that knowledge to some of these younger lads, and you can just see that it shines through from top to bottom at the club at the moment.
Yeah, just to stick on this theme for a little while then, Andy, because you're involved in non-league football here in the Northwest, so you know all about sort of, club unity and the importance of togetherness and common goal. How much do you sort of buzz off what you see as Liverpool at Liverpool, not just as a Liverpool fan, obviously, but also as someone who, is involved in trying to sort of build success at football teams? How much do you buzz off kind of what you see at Liverpool and how these young lads feel that they can come in and contribute, because obviously the way that they're supported at the moment?
Yeah, it's spot on. It's a much lower level, and but the same kind of pathway is there during pre-season. They get, we've give 4 lads over the summer who are only 16 who've just joined the club a debut. Initially in a reserve kind of mixed first team, but then one lad played in our final friendly on Saturday. We started him in a bit of a, an outside. He played left wing back for me, and he's like a number 10 really. And it was just very much in the changing rooms before, saying to the lads, I didn't have to tell the captain and the older lads to look after him, but they just do. There was a tackle early on that went a bit, was a bit of a tasty one that he threw in, and within 20 seconds he's got 3 6'2", 28-year-old lads round him, protecting him, and it's very much that making him feel, part of it. And in training, it's about not making them like, because I know in the olden days at Melwood especially, you hear stories about Ronnie Moran or whoever, and this isn't a criticism on it anyway, but they'd go, how many have we got today? And it's 21. All right, we need three young kids to come over just to make the numbers up. And there was an element of, I think Gerrard talks about where he went and he was there to make the numbers up and smashed Paul Ince with his first tackle, and everyone went, oh, aye. I think it's very much, I think they feel part of it. They're not just there, they're not taking on these tours and made to just feel, as they're there just to even the numbers up for an 11-a-side game or whatever. And you see like the rondos they do on LFC TV, it's 2 or 3 top players. So there was one the other day with Salah, Milner and Mane in one, and then 3 young kids in the rondo, and it's, Pep Linders is over them, and it's the intensity, and it's not only making sure they feel part of it, but also showing the expectation and the standards, and this is the level we operate at, and if you want to be a part of this long term, you've got to get up to this level quite quickly. We understand it might take you a year or 2, but these are our expectations. And I know you've just said don't bang on about him, but someone like Milner, winning them lacrosse runs, everything, it's literally like an example of he's still doing it now. He doesn't need to be doing this. He could be retiring, he could just be taking it easy, but he's not. He's still at the forefront of every rondo, making sure that the standards are high, the runs, he's winning them. And, in the pre-season, in the attacking drills, defensive drills, you watch them lads and them young kids like Leighton Clarkson, he's been at the club since he was 6. He'll already have that, but this is first-hand experience for him of, these standards are really, really high and I need to keep it. And, Josh touched on it before, unfortunately, a lot of lads within that academy won't ever play a competitive league, competitive first game for Liverpool, but the experience they're getting now and the standards being so high will stand them in good stead, whether they go and have a career in lower league, Premier League, or whether it's down in the conference, or with someone like Accrington Stanley or something. Whatever happens, they will learn from this, and it will stand them in good stead about standards and how to look after yourself.
Yeah, it's a good shout, that, isn't it, Kieran? Because, they can't all have careers like Trent Alexander-Arnold, but, we're seeing promise of the fact that, some of these lads might be able to contribute to Liverpool, might be able to be squad players, might be able to come in and do a job for us where we need them to. Or as Andy says, they go on to have other good careers elsewhere, and that's fine. And I always like to see lads who've come through our academy sort of doing well. We had Liam Coylin in the summer; he's off to Accrington, and I'm going to keep an eye on the results, because he was a boss lad when he came in. He did well at Liverpool. He was unlucky with injuries, and the fact that there are quite a few of our academy lads dotted about the leagues. I always also want them to do well, because you want them to feel like they've got a benefit from being involved at Liverpool Football Club. Be that someone like Trent who's get this big contract as a benefit, or just the fact that they've learned the fundamentals of football and the good values to keep them in good stead later on.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has touched on it before, and Andy there. The gap has literally been closed between Melwood and Kirby, and that's not just in the sense of on location. It's mentally, it's there. You can see the plays, you can see how they're working, you can see how they're operating, and the other way around as well. The Klopp and Pep Linders can see how the 18s are doing in training if they want to. It's all managed on one site, and I do think whether it's into our first team, I think firstly you will see over the next 10, 20 years more academy players getting first team appearances as a result of moving to Kirby, moving everything together. And I also think you'll see, if you don't come through to the first team of Liverpool, you'll see more players in the top league, like Premier League, Championship. You'll see a lot more of them who've been at the academy at Liverpool and had that experience, because it's only like, think about it being at Melwood, or being at Kirby, and then having that thing where you want to get to Melwood, even if it's a one training session. It's like it's so far, but it's not now. It's like that pathway with the flags and all that. It's there. It's all on. It's like you're part of Liverpool. You're part of the first team. If you keep doing well and keep doing what you do, it's just it seems like a natural progression, as opposed to I've got to get to Melwood, one this mythical sort of like this place. And not only that, the facilities as well of Kirby. When I first seen pictures of it, I was like, wow. It's like, that's really, really smart. And Melwood was always looked great, always looked lovely green grass. Every time you've seen photos of Melwood, it didn't seem like there was too much wrong with Melwood. But like, when you see what they've done up in Kirby, it's really impressive. Like.
Yeah, absolutely. Just a little note on that. So this weekend, obviously, there's a few more players joined at Evian. Sorry, I never said Everton there. That'd be a funny one. No one's gone to Everton. Certainly not the three Brazilian lads, Christ. But a few more players have joined over the weekend, and so that obviously, well, I say obviously, it does mean that a few of the academy players have gone back, just in terms of space, I think, at the camp, and also, you know, opportunities to give them minutes and things like that. So Harvey Davis, who's a goalkeeper, has gone back along with Conor Bradley, the right back, Billy Kometio, Jake Kane and Tyler Morton, and Musialowski, who unfortunately didn't see too much of, but is a really good talent as well, but I'm sure would have benefited. But have stayed is Owen Beck, Marcelo Pitaluga, who's a goalkeeper as well, Ben Woodburn, Leighton Clarkson and Kate Gordon. And you know, it's a lot to do with positions, Josh. So we shouldn't necessarily say that the five lads are staying and necessarily ahead of the lads who've sort of gone back, because it's like, oh, who do you need? But what you would say is it's a massive vote of confidence for those who are staying, especially as you say, Kate Gordon, just 16. You mentioned Owen Beck there. He's sort of, you know, staying around, and Leighton Clarkson as well. It shows that they've impressed and they're being kept with this core group.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny, isn't it? It's three of the names that I mentioned before as the lads who are sort of sticking around, and it shows the sort of importance, I think, on what Klopp places on it. I think that's as you say, it's more of a practicality thing that some of those lads have unfortunately been sent home. But I say unfortunately, those lads will still class that as the experience of a lifetime, what they've had there, and it'll make them want for more as well. But for the lads who are sticking around, you know, Cade Gordon, 16 years old, has just moved from Derby for like a couple of million quid in February. And now he's around Liverpool's first team, and is, you know, he's been literally kept on through the first round of sort of qualifiers, or whatever you want to call it. It's a massive vote of confidence, and you know, a few of them might be around the first team training this season, but they're more than likely to go back into their sort of 23s and 18 setups. Lads like Cade Gordon in particular, just sort of due to his age, I'd imagine will be back in the 18s this season playing games, but he'll have that taste for that now, and I imagine he'll have had chats with the manager, he'll have had chats with some of the lads in the first team who, as we've said, would be nothing more than encouraging as well. And that has got to be a sort of big encouragement for him. It's got to have given him that taste and made him think, well, you know what, it's not that far away now. For me, if I really want to go and get this, then it's well within touching distance. And I've already shown the manager what I can do. So I know that'll be on his mind. So I've just got to sort of stay there.
In terms of some of the others, then, some of the older fellas, Andy, has anyone else particularly impressed you so far in this pre-season in the games you've seen?
Yeah, I just don't want to say his name, no, John. To be fair,
James Milner. I didn't mean to ban it before. I love James Milner. I'm just saying it's always the one who gets the credit.
No, it's the one. It's the one. I think Keita.
Okay.
He just sucks you in all the time, doesn't he? And you can see you can kind of see what you've signed, and you know, I think that year when we'd signed him and he didn't come, everyone was buzzing about him, and he just sucks you in because he's absolute. He's class, isn't he? When he's fit and on the pitch, apart from that one game, I think was it the Madrid game away where he dragged him off at half time because he just sucks you in, and you know that hole is going to be his year, and if he can stay fit, and he just never does. But he's probably been pre-season set up for a player like him, isn't it? Where there's less pressing, it's slightly less intense, so someone like him is going to run the show. But one of the ones which seems to be kind of coming to fruition is this playing Oxlade-Chamberlain in a different role, kind of whether he becomes a direct rival for one of the front three. Firmino's the obvious one, where he's been playing in this bit of a false nine role, just to see if he can adapt to it. But he seems to have committed to it, and the games I've watched, I haven't watched full games. I've kind of been picking up the highlights, and he seems to be enjoying it. He seems to be fit again, but I don't think there's been any question about his ability. It's just fitness, as with Keita. So, but yeah, them two would probably be the two positives for me. But hopefully it's not a false dawn, and hopefully both of them can stay fit for a sustained period of time.
Where are you on the Keita thing, Kieran? It's funny, isn't it? Because everyone's always so scared. Like, if you say his name too many times, he'll get injured or something like that. That's how it works.
I'm in exactly the same boat, to be honest. It feels a little bit like when Danny Pacheco used to have an unbelievable pre-season and turn into Maradona. But I agree. I mean, when Naby's on his day, he looks like the midfield that we really, really need. The only problem is we all know he's not on his day enough, but we can only go off the past few games and this season, and he's going to be around. So I'm going to have to get behind him again. I'm going to put faith in him again. If he breaks me heart, he breaks me heart. But this is the last time he's going to break it, I'm afraid.
Until the next time.
I'm backing him. I mean, if he can put a string of performances together like that and keep himself fit, then he's a massive asset to Liverpool, isn't he? But it's all about, can he stay fit? But yeah, we're backing him. He's going to be all right.
We're backing him indeed, Josh. That's what we do as supporters. And you feel like the manager still backs him as well. You know, it's only a few months on from that game against Real Madrid where he sort of starts him out of nowhere. And, you know, he probably sort of regrets that now, the way it happened. But it did show the way his mind was at, where he thought, you know, Naby's got a big performance in him here. You know, around the squad, he seems fairly popular as well, Naby lad and all that. And, you know, you feel like they're sort of still backing him. And who knows, maybe he's the breakthrough guy this season.
It's one of my favourite videos from the whole title celebration. That, John, is the Naby lad. Yes, lad. for that reason, just give him a lifetime contract as far as I'm concerned. It's interesting, the Naby thing, because I think that Jurgen Klopp really loves him. I think you sort of hinted at it there, and I think that's genuinely that holds weight within this Liverpool squad, because, you know, Jurgen Klopp's a man with pride in the same way that we all are, in a sense. And I think he won't want the Naby experiment to go wrong. He'll want everyone to see the player that he saw in Naby Keita when he came from Leipzig, the player that he's talked up so much over the years, because he'll know that the sort of tide of opinion has changed gradually against Naby sort of over the years. The more he's got injured and the less he's been able to play. And, you know, when he has had his sort of handfuls of games, when he puts in one performance but then goes missing for the next few, he'll be more than aware of that, and more than aware that's fans' opinions, more than aware that people are talking about that in the media, and he'll sort of almost be willing Naby on and being like, come on, lad, I'm trying my best here, but I need something back from you. And I think to be fair to Naby, like we sometimes act with these footballers like they aren't trying their best. I do genuinely believe that Naby is trying his best. I think his body's letting him down at times, and people will ask questions about that, and, you know, medical departments and things, as we always do these things. We're not sort of privy to. We'll ask questions because we want to sort of fill the void. But I think this season in particular is a huge one for Naby. It's a huge one for Oxlade-Chamberlain, as Andy mentioned before, because they're two lads in particular whose contracts are within that 2023 group, and you'd imagine that there's a few lads there who are no-brainers that Liverpool will end up getting tied down. But I wouldn't say that at the moment Oxlade-Chamberlain or Naby are no-brainers. I think they're ones that Liverpool will have to put some sort of serious thought into. And you'd imagine if they decide that either of them are going to move on, they're not going to be two lads whose contracts had run down, because they're sort of, you know, at the sort of 25, 26 age where Liverpool still believe they can get a bit of money for them. So I think they'll both get a lot of opportunities this season, and if they don't impress, then you can expect us probably see Liverpool try and move them on next summer. But I'm with Kieran. I'm backing them both to impress this season.
Yeah, big seasons for them both indeed. Another one I want to talk about was Tsimikas, Andy, who's been lively, and from everything you hear, he's come out of his shell a lot in the camp as well. I think he's quite enjoyed it. People have, you know, said he's one of the loudest sort of in the squad now, and it can take a while to settle, can't it? Especially when you come into a huge club like Liverpool. I can't remember exactly where it was done last summer, but it felt sort of fairly, you know, close to the end. And obviously they didn't have a proper sort of pre-season last year anyway, because it was all a bit mad. So maybe this is the first time, you know, he's felt sort of part of a squad like this sort of going away. And if he's starting to come out of his shell a little bit more and certainly play a little bit better, I've been really impressed with his performances. We might see a little bit more from him next season.
Yeah, I think he was the third that I kind of was going to mention, but he was very much so. And I think, you know, I think you do underplay I know Minamino's probably had it worse than anyone from a gelling into a squad point of view, in the sense of he signed, didn't he, in January, and we went into lockdown in like the Feb, March, so he's barely had any time to kind of do any team building and what. And Tsimikas, a little bit similar, not as probably dramatic, but he signs in, you know, August, whatever, and we kick on straight into the season. And he's had hard lines, and he would be probably behind the most robust member of our squad. If there's one lad who doesn't really miss games, it's Andy Robbo. So he's probably had hard lines in that sense, but he's had bad injuries. But I heard Neil mention on a show the other day, someone was kind of questioning him on a show, and he was his team's best player the year we signed him, and he's for his national team, I think he's captained them, and he's highly regarded as their best player. So he's obviously got form, do you know what I mean? He's got the ability. It's just whether we see more of him, and I think that is all down to Andy Robinson and how robust he is again. I'd expect him to be. I think you might find Robertson eased in a little bit more now. He's got a bit of confidence. Obviously, he was at the Euros. He was playing in a different position at the Euros. So whether we see any, I don't think we will. I don't think we've ever really seen 3-5-2 from Jurgen, have we? But if we are to see it, could he play? Could he trust him a bit at left wing back? But yeah, I think we might see him early on, based on what you've said. I think he's impressed, seems to have a bit more confidence, and they seem to have a bit more confidence in him. So hopefully we get to see him. And he seems like he's a bit mad, doesn't he? Which I like the look of. He seems like he's a bit mad. So hopefully, his confidence is in, and he can come and fit straight in.
Yeah, let's hope he can have a bit more of an impact. Harvey Elliott certainly had a bit of an impact in pre-season as well, like a young Danny Pacheco kid, and he's putting himself about. I just love watching him play. And I don't know how much he's going to play or wear for Liverpool, but he's an edge of a seat player certainly.
Yeah, I don't know how much you're going to see him this season, but I want to see as much of him as possible. He's the one young player in our setup, isn't he, that everyone thinks has got the quality and the potential to be a real star. When he gets the ball, he makes something happen. He commits defenders. His footwork is fast. It's nifty. I'm looking forward to this season for him. I hope he is around the first team. I hope we see him in some of the cup competitions and that, because I think he can cause some real problems. And he's another one of them players as well. He looks like he's full of confidence. He looks like he believes in his own ability, and not one of them players who thinks he's better than what he is. He knows he can make stuff happen, and he seems the type of player who's getting his head down. He's working. When he went to Blackburn, he's done well there. He's promising. He's very promising. I'm looking forward to seeing him.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing him, and looking forward to seeing a bit more of the three Brazilian lads, as I mentioned before. Liverpool have moved to Evian now, by the way. It's their third camp, just to sort of mix it up. And we know Jurgen loves Evian as well. He calls it his time, and absolutely loves that week. I would encourage anyone to read the Pep Lijnders interviews, or Pep Lijnders diaries, they're calling them, on the official website, because it's a real interesting insight into the different works they're doing at the different camps and the different levels. But this is the week where they fine-tune. Apparently it's all about fine-tuning, and nice for them, Josh, to be joined by the three Brazilian boys who got to the final at the Copa America, so we've had to wait a little bit for Alisson, Fabinho and Firmino. In many ways, different ways, but all huge players for Liverpool Football Club. And you can see, I'm just thinking about sort of what they had already, and apparently we're going to see a little bit of that against Bologna on Thursday.
Yes, this is one of the things I love about pre-season, is sort of people arriving at staggered times, and you're getting to see the reaction of them arriving, of their teammates arriving, all on the club social media. It's like being on a night out, isn't it? When people just keep turning up, and each new person that turns up, you're progressively more drunk, and you're more happy to see them. So at this stage, we're all absolutely bladdered, and the three Brazilians are turning up for a bit of a samba party. I'm dead excited to see all three of them. They've been such an important part of Liverpool's spine over the years, and I believe they will be this season as well. I think it's hopefully going to be a season where we can stay relatively healthy throughout the whole thing in terms of the overall squad. So I imagine that Fabinho is going to get a lot more time in his sort of much loved number 6 role there. So it's going to be a big season for all three of them really. But a big way to start it this week, hopefully, in terms of getting a few minutes against Bologna potentially. I don't know whether any of them will start against Norwich. It's always hard to sort of tell what Klopp's plan is going to be with pre-season, with lads who turn up late, because with someone like Alisson, he's been playing for Brazil. You could imagine you could pretty much throw him straight in, but then Klopp might say, well, he's had a 2 or 3 week break after Brazil. He probably needs a few more training sessions, maybe a 30 or 60 minutes in one of these friendlies here and there, and then they think he'll be ready to go there. So I'll be excited to see sort of each of them individually, and a big season for Firmino as well, to be honest, because last season I think it's quite easy to forget we all had question marks about Firmino really, in terms of the goal return has always been a bone of contention for people who don't watch enough Liverpool games, but it almost became a bone of contention for us last season in terms of, are we still able to carry the fact that Firmino doesn't score enough goals, because is he contributing enough in other areas? And I think this season, with fans back in the ground and all those kinds of things, it's a big chance for him to prove that he's more than worthy and a crucial part, to be honest, of this Liverpool squad.
Yeah, I think all three of them are crucial, Andy, and I think it's great to sort of have them there, especially for Fabinho, the fact that Henderson isn't going to join the Evian camp, which I think more or less rules him out of a start against Norwich. So although the midfield have done pretty well, you'd like to see, one of the senior guys sort of get in there, or if not two of them. Thiago's obviously around the squad now, we'll see him Thursday. But if Fabinho could come back and look the part straight away, he just revolutionises how we play. He's just, so key to us ticking, and obviously the other two, fantastic players as well.
Yeah, I think the back end of the season, I can't rubber stamp that. I don't think we see him much at centre half. Obviously, the fact that we've got 4 or 5 quality centre halves will probably minimise that. But I can see, even if we do have any trouble at centre back in the future, he stays where he is, because we just look like a different team. Like he's kind of walking around the minute. He just sits in there, but he's got everything. He makes us tick. He wins the ball back. He gets the ball. His vertical passing range is unreal. Short, sharp, 20-yard ones. And then what you said is interesting there. I hadn't thought of that. Henderson won't even probably be an option for Norwich, but if you'd expect Thiago to get some minutes over the next 3 games, which probably means he can start. But then that Wijnaldum hole that we've spoken about is literally a starting place on the first day of the season, isn't it? And it's over to Chamberlain, it's over to Keita, it's over to Curtis, barring any signings, can you come and make it your own? And whoever does play in that role next to Thiago, having Fabinho behind you, I think must just take so much pressure off you and give you that confidence to go and play and express yourself. And yeah, excited to have him back and, get a full season of him as a 6, because I think we look a far better side when he is there.
Yeah, he's almost first name on the team sheet for me now, Kieran. I just think, with him there, and especially with the guys, the centre halves coming back, it's just such a great platform for what you want to do going forward.
Yeah, I agree with what Andy said there as well. I mean, we talked before about having ample amounts of centre halves now, but if for any reason any of them get injured ever again, I don't want to see Fabinho go there, because it just changed the balance of the team so much. He's the first name on my team sheet as well. He's the best holding midfielder about for me, and if you've got the best players in the best positions, then you should be playing them in their positions as much as possible. And obviously we can now, because we've got the centre halves, and like I say, for Thiago and the other midfielders, they must feel so much more comfortable when he's sat behind them, and they play better. We've seen the difference in Thiago when Fabinho's on the pitch. It's massive. So yeah, I'm made up he's back.
Okay. So what would you like to see between now and Norwich, Josh? We've got 4 pre-season games, 2 against Bologna, but we'll count them 2 because there's probably 2 different teams and 260 minutes of them. Obviously, we've got the 2 games in Anfield, which everyone is looking forward to. So what would you like to see in terms of, more minutes from certain people or different styles or just anything in particular? Put words in your mouth here. I'll shut up. You talk.
I'm the sort of person who will get really optimistic about the new season, John, and get really ahead of myself as we sort of gradually edge towards it. So I think one of the things that I would like to see the most, as much as I'm excited about Konate, as I said at the start, I'd love to see Joe Gomez and Virgil van Dijk's minutes sort of, if not gradually creeping up, then quite rapidly creeping up towards the Norwich game. I'd love to see them start against Norwich, and maybe not even Norwich. Maybe Burnley is the one when you've got Anfield behind them, and just seeing them come out onto the pitch to train and seeing them come out onto the pitch for their first starts and stuff like that. That's the sort of thing that we've all been dreaming of for this past 18 months or whatever it's been since we've been allowed in Anfield, is to be able to see those the best players at Liverpool playing at Anfield and being able to sort of cheer them on. So I think those 2 in particular are the ones for me that I'd love to see sort of getting more minutes. But I suppose Klopp will be the same for a number of those lads. There'll be a few of them that he'll want to see putting in nearly 90s. Now obviously it's not the opportunity to do that this Thursday because it's 2-hour games, isn't it? But on Sunday and Monday, certainly there'll be a few players there I think he'll be expecting probably a 490 out of, like Mo Salah, probably Mane, I'd imagine is probably close to a 490 as well. So I think just getting those best players as ready as they can possibly be for the new season, because Liverpool need to hit the ground running here and make a statement. City have started the past few seasons slowly, and we started our title winning season, I think it was 26 for 26, wasn't it? So same again, really, Reds.
No pressure at all. No pressure at all. Andy, what would you like to see between now and Norwich? Because it's only 12 days away. We've got 4 games. I mean, you might see, want to see a few more transfers or new contracts, or so in terms of what you'd like to see Liverpool sort of do on and off the pitch between now and Norwich. What would it be?
This might not surprise you, this one, John, because I think you're in a group where I mentioned it. But basically, all I need for my standing as a good dad is I've taken my 5-year-old to his first game on the Monday, and if Mo Salah or Van Dijk doesn't play in that, I'm done. He'll just want to get off. He literally, if he walks up and sees, and I know straight away he's going to look for him. So basically, hopefully someone from the club will watch this, and if that can sway anyway, that Mo Salah plays on the Monday rather than the Sunday, because I'm taking him to the second one. But no, in all seriousness, I think we all, Kieran mentioned it before, I think we're all hanging out for a transfer. I think we're all, that would really just give us a boost. And the one I've kind of, after listening to the gutters and what have you, I've kind of hung my hat on and I've put it down, is on Sal from Atletico. I think if we could, he'd make me really happy. And it's getting more and more to the nitty gritty that he looks as if he's coming to England. Obviously the swap deal with Barca looks like it's collapsed now. They're keeping Griezmann. So he would really kind of be a boost going into it. Whether we need him or not, I think that's just a young me coming out there, like in a transfer. And I really like him. I think I've watched his goal away at Bayern about 10 times on repeat over the last few days. I'd love that bit of that bit of endeavour in the midfield. But no, it's just, as you say, getting everyone back, making sure there's no silly injuries or niggles that appear, and then just get firing into Norwich on that opening day. Probably, as you say, without Van Dijk or Gomez, I'd imagine it'll be Matip and Konate start that day. But, more than happy with that, if I'm honest, because Matip on his day is great and really like the looks of Konate.
Yeah, what would you like to see between now and Norwich? If I could offer you anything at all?
You just hit the nail on the head there. No injuries. And based on that, I do want to see signings come in. I'm not one of these big transfer heads who just wants to sign people for the sake of it. But when someone who plays 36 games a season has now gone out of the midfield, and we look at the other midfielders we have in their injury record, I don't want to be in a situation where we're now playing centre-halves in midfield instead of midfielders at centre-half. So yeah, I would like to see a couple of faces come in, but mainly no injuries to the existing players, so we can hit the ground running and rack up as many points in the first 10 games as possible.
That's what we all want to see. Okay. If you are a transfer fan, and if you do love the transfers, then Rob Gutman will be in the gutter for us today, bringing you all the latest transfer news. So that's for audio subscribers. And yeah, absolutely loads going on this week. For video subscribers as well, you get a bit of Josh Sexton playing FIFA today as well. And what else could you possibly want? Josh Sexton trying to right the wrongs of Liverpool's past, starting with Liverpool v Chelsea in 13-14 today. So we a little bit of a mini-series that we're enjoying. Obviously, loads of transfer stuff throughout the week as well. And then we'll be doing post-match immediate reaction on audio and video to Thursday night's games, plural. We'll be doing little mini post-match shows for both of those games on Thursday. And yeah, gearing up to the new season. We're really excited about the schedule that we've got. We're really excited about some new shows and obviously return classics as well. So we think it's a great time to subscribe to the Anfield Wrap. If you do enjoy our free content, do have a little bit of a look. Download the app. You get some free tokens that you can get stuck in on. But yeah, it's £7 a month or 10 for both audio and video if you do want to subscribe. And just before we go, there's a couple of things I want to mention, including Kieran as on. And Kieran, you got a new single out?
Yeah, well, I actually got a date for it this morning. So yeah, it's going to be on the 24th, and it's called Tearaway. It's my first original release. So yeah, I mean, as you know, we've been around the world and back doing Liverpool stuff, but a passion of mine's always been writing music, and I've been fortunate enough to be able to go into Park Street and record this single, and yeah, it's launching in a few weeks' time. So big push on that front.
Yeah, you must be really excited for everyone to hear it. Obviously, Park Street to record in there as well. It's a world-renowned, studio. So to get in there and start off your journey, as an artist, must be really exciting.
Yeah, it is, mate. Like I say, I've music's as my life as much as Liverpool is. I've been around the music scene now for about 10 years, and obviously been fortunate enough to play all over the world with Boss and play to Liverpool fans all over the place. But they have a big burning desire in me to release music and release my own material, and I've been writing for years. So when lockdown struck and all them shows around the world were cancelled, it gave me time to, you know, think and pick what songs I want to move forward with and package things up and sort things out. And here we are, a day come back this morning with the 24th. So yeah, it's all locked in, all the streaming services. we'll have my debut single in a few weeks' time, mate, yeah.
Oh, absolutely brilliant. I don't want to sort of compare you too much to JB, because although you share a stage a lot and you've shared a stage with him throughout the world, I don't think we should necessarily expect, you know, your music to be your writing necessarily to be sort of too similar. But how much, you know, does it kind of, you know, inspire you, I guess, how successful he's been with his own stuff? Because people could have said to him, "Oh, we just want your Liverpool stuff. We're not interested." But people have given him an opportunity and really embraced his songwriting, and obviously he's had a top 10 album, which is brilliant. Does that sort of give you confidence that you know, people will give your own stuff a go as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's always going to be in the back of your mind when you search your name on YouTube and there's 70,000 people in Madrid. The first video that comes up is like, oh, he's a Liverpool fan. Or there's someone in Manchester going to listen to it, someone in London going to listen to it. But I think we've seen that, like, a lot of people just respect what you do and respect how hard you work. So yeah, I mean, we've seen for Jay, it's worked out great, and I wouldn't mind, you know, working out the same way for myself. I mean, as you said, the writing style is different, the music's different. But yeah, I'm excited for it to come out, and I do hope that people take to it.
Yeah, hopefully they do. So if people want to sort of hear it, people want to check it out, so, you know, the best way to find you, I guess, is through your social media in the first place. Yeah,
well, it's released under Keo. So I have a stage name now, John.
Exciting.
Yeah, it was previously just close friends, but now everyone can call me Keo. So yeah, it's out on the 24th, and follow me on socials, and you'll get all you need to know about when it's out and how you can listen to it.
Well, best of luck with it, man. I'm really hoping for the best for you. And I know what a passion it is, you know, and stuff. And I know you've worked really hard just to get to sort of here. So we'll all like give it a big push. And yeah, I would encourage everyone to listen to it, because yeah, there's not many people in the city as passionate about what they do as Kieran. So nice one, mate, and all the best with it. And you will be dusting off the Boss songs as well, though. You've got a big party after Chelsea. I've got me tickets. I'm on that middle balcony. Don't you worry about that. John. And I can't wait, mate. It's been too long, hasn't it?
It has been too long. Like when a week before the pandemic struck, we were in India playing in New Delhi. I think the last Boss show we've played was in New Delhi, which is insane considering what's happened in that time. We won the league and all sorts of things. Yeah. You know what I mean? So to be able to walk back onto a big wall of Liverpool fans in the Olympia and that balcony singing at the top of its voice, I can't wait for it, mate. It's a full lineup. It's a full hit. We're back. We're back, like.
Absolutely back. There's still a few tickets left for the Saturday nights after Chelsea, so we'll be quick if you do want to get on to that. Although there's also a kids show the next day on the Sunday, which are great fun, and people who go to them absolutely brilliant. So if you've got a young lad or girl who's into the Reds and watches the videos that Kieran was on about before on YouTube and everything, it's a brilliant opportunity to take them down. It's obviously a safe environment. It's full of just kids just having the absolute time of their life, isn't it, Kieran? The brilliance.
Yeah, it's nice to see the next generation of Liverpool fans as well, you know what I mean? Because like half of these songs I didn't pick up till I was like 16, 17, go on the match, and there's like 5-year-olds, 10-year-olds in the crowd, you know, every lyric. So we're in the future's bright, put it that way.
Yeah, see, and they might not be able to see Mo Salah, but they can see Keo, you know what I mean? So
yeah, no, I'm telling you, Joe's going on the Sunday, we're taking him. So we're taking him with my nephew, yeah. It's going to be his first one. I don't know how he'll be when he come on stage. He listens to Jamie. He's not listened to Keo stuff yet, but he will do very shortly. But he's had the pleasure of meeting Jamie. I think Lizzie boxed it off for him, and he went and signed the shirt and all that. And he, you know, whenever that sort of, I'm just made up for him having like an influence of Scouse, you know, music and that bringing it forward. But no, taking Joe on the Sunday, can't wait.
Is right. So get on all the Boss Night social media for that. As I say, just a few tickets left for the Saturday, I'm told. So be quick on those. But them kids sessions on the Sunday are brilliant. And you'll see Kev Walsh and his little lads going sick down there as well. It's the only time Kev lets them swear, which is quite funny. He's joining in along with the songs, not just generally, they're swearing at the bar. But yeah, just along with the music. But no, it looks absolutely brilliant. So best of luck with that. But we've also got our own live show, which is the weekend before. So before Burnley on the Friday nights. The Anfield Wrap are going to be at Mountford Hall. Just like Kia, we've really missed it. It's been a long time since we've done anything. Our last live shows were in Ireland, and I missed them because I was hanging on for an American tour we were meant to be doing a month later that never happened, and I've regretted it ever since. So I'm going to be wound up, let me tell you. Neil Atkinson has been away for a week in Portugal preparing just for this. He's getting it all sorts of ready in his head, stomping up and down. Listen, we're going to have some party in Mountford Hall. For everyone who was at our end of season party there a couple of seasons ago will know we enjoyed the big stage. We love having the screen behind us, and we love having a really good time in that venue. So nice one to Mountford Hall. I know they've done a lot to get us on there. We are one of the first events back at Mountford Hall, a bit of a test event for them, and we really appreciate it. So nice one obviously to them and everyone in the business as well, not least the head of operations, who's done a huge amount to get this show on, so we can all have a brilliant time. So we're looking forward to it. Got some show planned, and yeah, if you want tickets for that, I say it's the night before Burnley, it's the Friday night. It's the AnfieldWrap.com/TAW live. So the AnfieldWrap.com/TAW live. If you want to come and get involved, it should be brilliant. Really looking forward to it. We're going to be, as I say, doing loads of work at the moment, making it as safe as possible so everyone feels comfortable, but also enjoying ourselves because there's a new season, there's a league to win, and it starts soon. But in the meantime, nice one a lot to Andy, to Keo, and to Josh Sexton. That has been the Anfield Wrap. Hope you've enjoyed it. Get your tickets for us, get your tickets for Boss, download Keo's single, and let's win the league.